What up, though? Welcome, welcome. I'm Spade the Love Doc, and I want y'all to go ahead if you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the like button for me. Today we go get it started, and the topic of the day is pit bull mentality. First, I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna talk about me. Y'all might be able to identify. It was a time in my life where, hey, in 2.5 seconds, I'm ready. I'm ready to get at you if you bump me. You know, that pit bull mentality, full of anger, just mad at the world. And we have to be careful about that, my spades. We have to be careful about being quick to anger. That's something I pray for now. I pray for God to give me the strength to channel that. And I've gotten better. However, I'm not where I want to be. And if you like me, spades, you really, especially when you're working on your attitude, when you're trying to channel your attitude, when you're trying to harness it, when you know you're quick-tempered and you're working on that, you got to be careful about your surroundings, because understand, my spades, there's certain surroundings, certain people, certain environments that could trigger that anger, that could trigger it. So you have to be mindful of that when you're working on your attitude, when you're working on allowing your inner beauty to display more so than that attitude. And yes, your environment is very critical. I remember I was doing really well at one time. I was exercising patience. My attitude had got so much better. I got good at ignoring little minute stuff. However, I got this job, and up in this job, I found myself, before I went to that job, I literally had to get down on my knees. You hear me, spades, daily before I walked up in this place, because I knew if I didn't get on my knees, I was susceptible to catch a case. Because it was just the evil deeds that was up in this place. It was a lot of arrogance, a lot of backstabbing. It was very cliquish, favoritism off the charts. So it was so much that the spirit was overwhelmed with negativity that it caused me to relapse. It caused me to relapse. I was close to fighting a couple times. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. And finally, I had to ask God to remove me. Remove me. And God wasn't moving me fast enough. So I was trying to figure out what was my reason for being there. He wasn't opening up another door. And I really had to humble myself. Because if I didn't humble myself, I was gonna make somebody gums bleed. And that ain't good, Spady Spades. It ain't good to be fighting on the job, going to jail, and those things of that nature. So that pit bull mentality, once I got to really working on myself, see, when you're in the midst of that pit bull mentality, you're really desensitized to it. So whenever you run into other people with that pit bull mentality, it's normal. But when I got to really working on my attitude, excuse me, Spady Spades, but when I really got to working on my attitude, I found myself being sensitive to people that was where I used to be. It's funny how, things that you probably wouldn't even notice before. For instance, I'm gonna give you an example. Just say if you smoke weed, just say you pursue to stop smoking weed. Your senses will elevate wherever you at on where they're smoking weed. You will become where before you was desensitized because maybe you was high, you was smoking, and you just wasn't aware of who all would be doing it around you. However, when you're trying to stop doing something and you're really pursuing not to do it, your senses heighten to what you're trying to stop doing. So if you're trying to stop smoking weed, you would pick up who's smoking weed a mile away. You could sense it, you could smell it, it's in the air, and you have to be careful. You have to be careful about the triggers. You got to separate yourself. So again, when I was working on my attitude and you out and about, you could be at a grocery store, you could be a convenience store, and when you see somebody just flying off the handle for a little or nothing, where before you really desensitized to it, you might look up, keep it pushing, whatever. However, when you working on your attitude, when you working on, being a better person and not being angry and not snapping or going off on someone for a little or nothing, when you working on that and you see it happens often, it just heightens your awareness of what you used to do. And not only that, you begin to realize how angry your community is, how angry your city is, how angry your state is, how angry your country is, how angry the world is. You really pick up, whether you're watching the news, whether it's overseas, you're seeing anger, and you're seeing madness. You really become sensitive to it, where before you was desensitized because you were part of it. My Spady Spades understand anger leads to destruction. Anger. And I've noticed, which is disappointing, is quite a few church gangsters It's quite a few Christian gangsters, Christian thugs in the church. They'll cuss you out before over a little nothing. They'll pop off at that, with their attitude over a little nothing. And we have to be mindful of this spades, especially if you're in the church. Especially if you're in the church, especially if you're holding a position in the church. We have to be mindful of that. That could stop your church from growing. A few years ago, a young man was trying to get his life together, went to a church. I guess he sat up in the front, one of the chairs or in the front of the church, and I guess someone asked him to move, one of the deacons or whatever. The young man didn't want to move. He was in his 20s. And it's sad to say that young man lost his life at that church. These are the things that's occurring in our churches. Fights over parking spots, or, it's a lot of anger. It's a lot of anger in this world. And those of us that love the Lord, those of us that cry out to our Heavenly Father, we got to separate ourselves from this. Because it says in the Bible, an angry man, it leads to his demise. An angry man, it leads to his destruction. So we have to be wise, and we have to pray. If you know you're battling with anger, if you know you will get mad in 2.5 seconds over a little nothing, whether you driving, whether it's road rage, whether you in a store, somebody cut in front of you, maybe they buggy hit your buggy, when you ready to put yourself in a position where it could either cost you your life or you can go to jail over the smallest thing, we need to cry out to God. We need to cry out to God and ask Him to deliver us, deliver us from us. I have to cry out to God, Lord, deliver me from me. Save me from me. So this pit bull mentality, my spades, we got to get a grip on it. Nasty attitude, quick to anger, quick to curse somebody out, quick to fight. We got to be delivered from this, my spades. Because in the Bible it says, the meek, the humble shall inherit the earth. Understand, my spades. You can have a nasty attitude, and because of your gifts, you still could be blessed. But you will not reach your maximum potential because your attitude will get in your way. I ain't talking to you, I'm talking to myself. Hey, I ain't getting on you, I'm getting on me. Our attitudes, that negative attitude, quick to anger, can't nobody tell you nothing. You a know-it-all. Even though you could be blessed, but you will not reach your full potential. Humility. My spades. humility, being humble, being humble, being soft-spoken, knowing when to shut up, knowing when to listen, knowing when to let someone pass you knowledge. So that's what we need to work on, my spades. I encourage you, if you struggle with a negative attitude, or if you struggle with a pit bull mentality, if you struggle with anger, getting angry over a little or nothing, we all need to collectively pray and ask God to deliver us from this. Ask God to deliver us from this. We want to pray and ask God to bless us with the gift to be slow to anger. Bless us with the gift, Heavenly Father, to be slow to speak and swift to hear. All right, my spades, this concludes the topic of the night. You know I love y'all. Hey, I'm wishing y'all love and happiness. And keep loving my spades.